Anubis is a warrior with a similar weapon, a spear-like weapon. It's designed to strike. You can look at it as a hawk, designed to eat, swooping down. And hawks, coming down to strike a snake or something, right? The enemies of God. And it will stop everything it's doing and send you to Anubis for judgment when you threaten the hawk's young. Okay. Think of the pharaoh and the peasant. Some pharaohs were good men, and they had bad moments, and they ran their mouth about how great warriors they were, and how their servants were pussies, and they need to treat them with more respect and remember to do it right next time, and things like this. And this created bad blood. And over time, a lot of these servants got together and plotted with everyone else who had little heart. Their heart came up short. Their heart was of little stature. And we're going to go into that in a moment about how bravery is part of leadership and the exact reason why in African culture I am the most qualified to lead, and you will hear every bitch nigga argument to the contrary from every jealous serpent. You know them by whether or not they agree after this video is over. And I will also go over with some of my older videos. So Peter Pan represents those servants, right? The pan, the lid, put a lid on it, right? They're trying to cover up the light and take you to Never, Never land. Never, never again will righteous men of Osiris in the light temple rule. We're going to have the fun and have the sex and the women and exploit and murder and kill and, pedophilia and molest everyone. Remember, Ramses, his names were the Justice of Re is powerful, and the Chosen of Re. The Chosen of Re. So he's chosen for his bravery and his justice, and he earns it through rituals that represent what the Scorpion King and the founding Osiris figure of Egypt did, who would then be avenged by his son. This is part of why there are Seti the first, there are the second, Amenhotep the first and the second and so on, right? Because it is the continuation of your father's work, and you're avenging him. It's sort of like Osiris, Horus is avenging Osiris in the same spirit that he existed in. Amenhotep, you pleased Amen, your father pleased him too, and so on. So here we go. Fighting skills, transferable skills argument. Remember, I destroyed their argument with my plaque. I pointed out the difference between combat sports, which are called games. They're playing little sissy, immature gladiator blood sport games compared to the mature spirit, old soul, higher thinking of true martial arts combat. So you see martial arts systems that ended with the person being thrown to the ground or struck, such as karate or taekwondo. And you see the Africans headbutting each other and focusing on throwing them to the ground and striking, because these are the skills you need in combat, and of course they're all displayed in sparring. And it would take a moron to miss that. So anyone who that disagree with my sparring argument, they need to feel real stupid right about now, or else they're not living in reality, right? They need to phase out their bullshit way of thinking and come to the light temple and stop being racist and admit that I'm the best, and that $100,000 is more than enough to put the political opposition and everyone else who might say something in their fucking place forever. Bruce Lee never did that. I did, fumed, drugged, dehydrated, and it's time I was given my rightful place, you cheaters. Fuck your ulterior motives, and fuck you trying to make everything equal, which really is to make everything better for your race by downplaying the merit of mine. That is disgraceful. So 11, 12, I believe it was 162, the appendix and some other pages I went over in Fighting for Honor. Remember, cognate, related by birth of the same parentage or descent. So when they talk about umba and its cognates and di-umba and ngolo, these are different skills, specific skill sets that are transferable, that are shown through sparring and dance and other ways, that have to do with actual combat and not sports games, combat sports or combat games, but actual combat to get into the point, and not skills that you learn from a game like playing, hopscotch or something, right? It's related to have the most effective skill set for actual combat, you need a traditional sparring method, because that's how you prepare people for actual combat, not this Greco-Roman sports designed to make people who are kind of bigger and slower, who can't survive against Egyptians or Zulus, who have to invent guns and armor, to make them feel better about themselves. You understand that? I mean, I think that's pretty, self-evident, don't you? All right. So we go on. Capoeira female raped by cops. I have the woman weigh in. She's disgusted as I am. My parents today conceded that I now have the right to choose whether or not to take medicine without them harassing me. And they're going to back off, probably because I went to Santa Cruz a lot and they got worried. I was drugged in Santa Cruz covertly while I was around a female. I don't want to go into detail, but that's why I'm not going to hang out with her or anyone else anymore. And so I said, stop trying to quote unquote help me. And you covertly drug me and make me sick and miserable. I almost went home and almost ruined my day. That's what psych meds do. So dueling for the fighter and bravery. Okay, at the end of this, I'm going to go into bravery and dueling. All right, the last clip of this. And I'm going to, start off with the martial art clip, this clip. Then there's the Viking clip. Then the last clip, okay? Dueling, it was something that, if say I had a problem with another martial arts secret society, and we say, you know what, it's between me and his king. Why do we all have to fight? I have to be able to go to that guy as a man in the name of the Light Temple and Osiris and say, okay, I challenge you one-on-one to a traditional battle with knives or razor blades, a traditional capoeira weapon, which of course I would kill anyone first, and that's what sparring represents. So they would know better ahead of time when they're dealing with me. They say, this guy's smarter than I am. He's wiser than I am. He comes from a long line of smart people and royalty that earned their way, up, which is another thing. The status of a leader was only achieved, according to Philo, in the book written by a professor and other experts in martial arts. Professor T.J. Dush Opie and all the people he gives credit to helping him out. A professor in New York, nonetheless. Okay, I believe I think he got his degree in Southern California. So, and his degree is in African history and the diaspora, and it was an emphasis on martial arts traditions and whatnot, exactly what the book is about. So he's from my tribe, he's an expert. They can't beat me sparring. I mean, what can any other martial artist say? They have to bow down to Igbo at this point, or they have completely disgraced their ancestors. So help me God, and the ancestors in Egypt and the Mediterranean and everywhere else that taught us all these systems. You either give us credit as Igbo as the top, or you have disgraced everyone. Give us our Obi essence, the first son, motherfucker. Obi won because Obi won long ago, and all you pussies have been jealous ever since. And even if you kill us, you'll just make us more powerful, because we are the Light Temple and you are snakes, bulls, jackals, rats, inferior forms of life, like wolves that don't know any better, that just don't know any better. Anyway, so contact between secret societies in single combat was deadly. You bring knives, eyes would get gouged, stones would get picked up, bottles, no holds barred kind of meeting. The leader had to be someone who, by that one whose bravery could not be overcome. That's the only way you could achieve leadership. So you had to be uncontrolled. So all these people, show me someone in the black community who has displayed martial arts excellence for over 20 years, 100-0, traditional martial arts, presents the argument the way I do, has the enemy disgracing themselves, hiding, goes against the grain, uncontrolled. You starting to see what I'm saying here? Okay? No one even comes close to being qualified the way I do. Traditionally, you have to add someone else's perspective to confuse you. You have to say, well, I got miseducated at Yale, and he just has a bachelor's degree, even though I've been self-educated for over 20 years. I mean, which one's better? The white man brainwashing you and throwing you bones for saying what he wants to hear in your reports while you're being conditioned, or being self-educated, and having 175 IQ while you do it. And why these Ivy League bitches are hiding and crying. Why the political opposition is hiding and crying. Why these other religious systems are hiding and crying, and why these other martial artists are hiding and crying. I defeat them mind, body, and soul every day. So help me God on ancestors every day. Now, where was I? Yes, so the pictures of the Igbo applying a hand technique, as I've done in many videos, even the slowed down dehydrated drug ones, to the careful observer shows superior bounce, rhythm, dance, tune. The same reason you can dance similar with a weapon in hand, the way the Zulus did in the series, is the same reason you can dance without one. These are my notes. I go through little bit shit like I'm plugging the freezer and stuff like this, trying to read the numbers. And a lot more little bit shit why there's serious stuff bothering me, and people running a psyop on me, and all that natural bitch shit that happens at the same time. You feel me? You feel me? So I don't want to hear anything about behavior or drugs ever again, even if I flip out after the way I've been treated. Anyway, where was I? As the Zulus did in the series, so principles and applications. So figure 4.1, the African instrument-inspired dance Ngolo Nti Umba. That's the title, right? My Bible. The title of the video at 1 minute 4 seconds, figure 4.1, it shows the Negroes headbutting. So we headbutt people hard-headed over time. It makes your skull thick, and when you headbutt people in combat, it forces your brain to think effectively while you're striking people. You know, not just while you're moving super fast and playing speed chess, so to speak, in combat, if you get my drift. Excuse me. So let me just wrap this up. This is a long time. I'm trying not to speak fast so people can like my presentation. I hope I'm doing a good job. We'll see. So, you throw them to the ground, punch, kick, headbutt, kill, and that is what you see in a lot of martial arts like karate, taekwondo. I went over this already. Where the fight ends, you hit the ground, right? You are kidding yourself if you think any of them could outmaneuver me and throw me down before I could kill, incapacitate, or critically wound them. Remember, this is all one take. So however I do it, just like my other knife demonstrations, you know, just like I just did a combo in one take too earlier. Recorded it, put the timer. All this is one take. Remember, I haven't warmed up. You know, I'm not sitting here taking drugs. I'm calm. Do! 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 All right. That's sitting down after being calm. Imagine being pumped up, standing up, ready. How many think they could cut the distance without me cutting them up effectively with a big Ikenga knife? If you do not give me my respect and you call yourself Egyptian, you do not get yours. As you judge, you too shall be judged. And if you just because you don't have heart doesn't mean this guy won't hold it against you. You will be judged by God, and you will be judged with your scale considered, is what Jesus was trying to communicate. When you think like him, you get it. You can finish his sentences almost. You understand what I'm saying? To make a long story short, I'm a black Viking. Sometimes I say things I don't mean, and I regret them. You know? Am I supposed to sit here crying about it? Are we fucking Girl Scouts? Or are we fucking Vikings? The status of leader was only achieved, according to Philo, by that one whose bravery could not be overcome. So as you can see, they have to be a brave martial artist to be the great one, the chosen one, and that goes back to Ramses. And since I'm almost out of time, I'll put up this last appendix, okay? This is, we'll call it 14.